Welcome back to the show. It is Friday, January 2nd, 2026. Happy New Year, everyone. If you're looking at your portfolio this morning, you might be seeing a familiar name doing some heavy lifting.
Happy New Year, Joe. And let me guess, we're talking about the company that seems to own half the world's computer servers now? Microsoft?
You nailed it. But Jane, calling Microsoft a software company in 2026 feels like calling a Ferrari a transportation device. It's technically true, but it misses the entire point. We are looking at what I call the global AI utility. Just like you pay the electric company to keep the lights on, the modern economy is starting to pay Microsoft to keep the intelligence running.
That's a big claim. I know they've been pushing AI for years now. We all remember the Bing chalk craze of 2023, but has it really become a utility? I mean, I use Copilot, but I wouldn't say my life depends on it like electricity.
Not yet for you, maybe. But for the Fortune 500, it's becoming oxygen. Let's look at the numbers. Microsoft just wrapped up their Q1 fiscal 2026 in September. They posted revenue of $77.7 billion. That beat Wall Street estimates. But the real story, the one that matters, is Azure.
The cloud business.
Exactly. Azure revenue grew 40% year over year. 40%! For a business of that size, that is defying the laws of financial gravity. And it's almost entirely driven by AI consumption. Companies aren't just storing data anymore. They are renting thousands of GPUs to run their own models.
Okay, 40% is huge. But Joe, I keep hearing about the costs. Building all those data centers, isn't that burning a hole in their pocket?
It's a bonfire, Jane, a massive one. Their capital expenditures, CapEx, hit nearly $35 billion just for the quarter. They are on track to spend over $80 billion this year building data centers. To put that in perspective, that's more than the GDP of some small countries just spent on concrete and chips.
$80 billion? That sounds risky. What if this AI bubble bursts? What if people stop caring about chatbots?
That is the trillion-dollar question, and that brings us to the big pivot. If you only remember one thing from this episode, remember this phrase, Agentic AI. Microsoft isn't betting on chatbots anymore. They made that clear at Ignite back in November 2025.
Agentic AI? Sounds like a spy movie. What's the difference between an agent and a chatbot?
Great question. A chatbot talks to you. You ask, summarize this email, and it writes text. An agent does things for you. You tell an agent, plan a marketing campaign for this product, book the meetings with the creative team, and draft the initial budget approval email, and it goes off and interacts with other software to make it happen.
So it has hands, metaphorically speaking. It can click buttons.
Precisely. At Ignite 2025, they launched Agent 365. It's a control plane for these AI employees. Think of it like a manager for your digital workers. And this isn't sci-fi. This is shipping product. Satya Nadella just published a blog post yesterday, literally yesterday, Jan 1st, called Systems Over Models. He's basically saying, stop looking at how smart the model is and start looking at what the system can actually do.
Top feels like a defensive move, though. Is he saying the models aren't getting smarter?
It's pragmatic. We're seeing diminishing returns on raw intelligence. GPT-5 is great, but is it 100 times better than GPT-4? Maybe not. But an agent that can flawlessly navigate SAP and Salesforce to close a deal, that's worth gold. And that's where Microsoft is pivoting the entire company.
Okay, so they are building digital workers, but they don't own the brain, right? That's OpenAI. And I heard some drama went down with them late last year.
Drama is putting it mildly. It was a corporate soap opera. Back in October 2025, they finally renegotiated the marriage contract.
I remember reading headlines about a divorce, but then they were back together.
Think of it as opening the marriage. Before, Microsoft was the exclusive cloud provider for OpenAI. Now, OpenAI is free to buy compute from Oracle, Amazon, whoever they want. In exchange, Microsoft got something huge. They secured their IP rights until 2032.
So Microsoft can keep using ChatGPT tech even if OpenAI starts seeing other people?
Exactly. And more importantly, Microsoft is no longer banned from building their own AGI, artificial general intelligence. They have their own team now, the MAI Superintelligence Team, led by Mustafa Suleyman. They are hedging their bets. If OpenAI implodes, Microsoft has an internal backup plan.
That seems smart. I always thought it was weird that the world's biggest company was relying on a startup for its core tech. So how much of OpenAI does Microsoft actually own now?
After OpenAI restructured into a public benefit corporation in October, Microsoft's stake was valued at about $135 billion. They own roughly 27% of the company. It's a massive asset on their balance sheet. But the relationship is complicated. OpenAI is now a competitor in some ways. They are selling directly to enterprises, sometimes undercutting Microsoft.
Frenemies. Classic tech.
The ultimate frenemies. Let's look at the hardware, because that's the other pillar of this utility thesis. You know how Nvidia has been the king of the hill?
Oh yeah, the stock that made everyone rich.
Well, Microsoft is trying to stop paying the Nvidia tax. At Ignite, they showed off the Cobalt 200. This is their custom-designed CPU for cloud workloads. And they gave updates on Maia, their AI accelerator chip.
Are they actually good, or is this like when they tried to make the Zune?
Ouch, harsh. No, these are legit. The Cobalt 200 is based on ARM architecture. It's highly efficient. Microsoft is claiming 30-40% better power efficiency than standard servers. When you're spending $80 billion on data centers, saving 40% on electricity is not a rounding error. It's billions of dollars in profit.
So they design the chip, they own the cloud, they own the operating system, and they own the AI agents running on top. It's a complete stock.
Total vertical integration. That's why the stock is hovering near $500. Analysts at Morgan Stanley and Wedbush are putting targets of $650, even $700 for late 2026. They see this flywheel effect kicking in.
It sounds too perfect, Joe. What's the catch? What could go wrong?
Several things. First, the DeepSeek effect. You heard about this Chinese startup, DeepSeek.
Vaguely, something about a really cheap model?
Right. In late 2025, early 2026, DeepSeek released a model that performed almost as well as GPT-4, but cost a fraction of the price to train. It spooked the market. Investors started asking, wait, if AI becomes cheap and commoditized, why are we paying Microsoft billions for it?
That's a valid point. If AI becomes like, I don't know, calculator ops, you can't charge a premium for it.
Exactly. Microsoft's defense is the system argument again. Sure, the model might be cheap, but does it integrate with your Outlook calendar, your Excel spreadsheets, and your corporate security protocols? Only Microsoft can do that. They are betting on the moat of integration.
The sticky ecosystem. Once you're in, you can't get out.
Precisely. The other risk is regulatory. The FTC and the EU are watching this OpenAI partnership like hawks. Even with the restructuring, regulators are worried Microsoft has too much power. If they force a breakup or heavy fines, that could hurt.
And what about the slop thing? I saw a headline about Satya Nadella getting mad about the word slop.
Ha! Yes. AI slop is the internet slang for low-quality AI-generated garbage content. Nadella is trying to rebrand. He wants us to distinguish between spectacle, the hype, and substance. He's terrified that if people associate AI with spam and fake images, businesses will stop buying it. He needs AI to be boring, reliable, and corporate.
Boring is profitable.
Boring is incredibly profitable. Look, Copilot seats grew 10x in the last 18 months. Adoption is happening, but now comes the hard part, renewal. A lot of companies bought Copilot to test it. In 2026, those contracts come up for renewal. If employees aren't using it, companies will cancel. This is the show me the money year for AI.
So, summary time. Microsoft is spending a fortune betting the farm on agents that do work for us and trying to keep their marriage with OpenAI stable while building their own tech on the side.
That's the playbook, and so far, Wall Street is buying it. They have $80 billion in cash, $392 billion in backlog orders, and the smartest CEO in the game. If I had to bet against Satya Nadella, I'd think twice.
Well, I'm definitely going to pay closer attention to my agent the next time I open Word. Thanks for breaking it down, Joe.
Anytime, Jane. We'll be back next week to talk about Apple's attempt to catch up. Spoiler alert, it involves Siri getting a brain transplant. Stay tuned.